The year is 1888. A chill wind cuts through the gaslit alleys of Whitechapel, London. Fog, thick as a shroud, muffles footsteps, hides faces. This is not the London of grand avenues and glittering carriages. It is a place of shadows, of poverty whispering in the darkness. Life here is cheap, survival a daily struggle. And tonight the fog conceals a terror far greater than any soul could imagine. Prostitutes, their lives as precarious as a flickering gaslight, walk the cobbled streets. They are souls lost to poverty, to gin, to a life that offers little hope. Tonight, however, a new predator stalks these streets. The air itself seems heavy with a sense of foreboding. The name, so simple, so chillingly ordinary, becomes synonymous with terror. The first whispers of death came with the dawn of August 7th. Polly Nichols, her life already a litany of hardship, lay dead in Buck's Row. Her throat, slashed with brutal efficiency, marked her as the first victim. This was no drunken brawl, no act of passion. This was something different, something monstrous. Just a week later, the fog claimed another. Annie Chapman, her life as fragile as the flower she wore in her hair, was found butchered in Hanbury Street. Her abdomen, ripped open, bore witness to a savagery that defied comprehension. The killer, it seemed, moved with the fog, striking swiftly, silently, leaving only horror in his wake. Theories abounded. Was it a madman, a surgeon, a demon in human form? Elizabeth Stride, her face forever frozen in a mask of terror, was found in Dutfield's yard. That same night, Catherine Eddowes met her end in Mitre Square. The cobblestone streets, slick with a fresh layer of dew and grime, reflected the weak gaslight like scattered jewels. A patrolman, his breath misting in the cold air, walked his beat with a heavy tread. His eyes scanned the darkened doorways and shadowed alleys, searching for any sign of movement. The silence, broken only by the distant clang of a carriage clock, was unnerving. Each footstep echoed in the stillness, amplifying the city's fear. The specter of Jack the Ripper now loomed over every darkened corner. Mothers clutched their children closer, and even the most hardened criminals walked with a newfound caution. The East End, already grappling with poverty and despair, was now in the grip of terror. The police, their faces etched with fatigue and frustration, continued their tireless investigation, but the killer, like a phantom, left no trace, only a trail of blood and terror in his wake. Whispers of a suspect began to circulate, their tendrils snaking through the fear-stricken streets. John Pizer, a Polish immigrant known as Leather Apron for his trade, became the subject of intense scrutiny. The police, desperate for a breakthrough, hauled Pizer in for questioning. He vehemently denied any involvement in the murders, protesting his innocence with a ferocity that gave even the most skeptical pause. His alibi for the night of one of the murders proved solid, and he was eventually released. Yet, the whispers persisted, fueled by prejudice and fear. The real killer, meanwhile, remained hidden in the labyrinthine streets. The morgue, a cold and sterile sanctuary from the chaos of the streets, held its own grim fascination. Dr. George Phillips, the police surgeon assigned to the case, approached each autopsy with a meticulous eye and a heavy heart. He carefully documented every wound, every incision, searching for any clue that might lead them to the killer. The brutality of the murders shocked even him, a man accustomed to the darker side of human nature. The autopsies revealed a chilling level of expertise. The precision of the cuts, the removal of organs, suggested someone with anatomical knowledge. Whispers of a surgeon, a butcher, a demon in human form, circulated through the ranks of the police. Each new detail, each gruesome discovery, only deepened the mystery surrounding Jack the Ripper. Life in Whitechapel, never easy, became a living nightmare. The fog, once a familiar nuisance, now carried the weight of terror. Women, their faces etched with fear, hurried through the streets, avoiding eye contact. The once familiar rhythm of life had been disrupted, replaced by a symphony of fear. The pubs, usually bustling with life, were eerily quiet. Men huddled in corners, whispering about the latest rumors, their faces grim. The laughter and music that usually filled the air were replaced by a tense silence. The police, their presence a constant reminder of the danger lurking in the shadows, patrolled the streets with grim determination. The fear was palpable, a suffocating blanket that seemed to smother the very life out of Whitechapel. Amidst the fear and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged from an unexpected source. Letters, purporting to be from the killer himself, began to arrive at police stations and newspaper offices. One letter, dubbed the Dear Boss letter, arrived at the Central News Agency in September 1888. In it, the writer, signing himself Jack the Ripper, claimed responsibility for the murders and threatened to continue his reign of terror. Another letter, known as the From Hell letter, arrived at the home of George Lusk, the chairman of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. The police, though skeptical of the letter's authenticity, couldn't ignore the possibility that they were communicating with the killer himself. The letters, whether genuine or the work of a twisted prankster, had a profound impact on the investigation. As quickly as it began, the reign of terror subsided. The murders stopped, the letters ceased. Jack the Ripper, the phantom who had haunted the cobbled streets and gas-lit alleys of Whitechapel, vanished back into the fog from whence he came. The city, still reeling from the shock, breathed a collective sigh of relief. Life, slowly, began to return to a semblance of normalcy. The fog still clung to the streets, but it no longer carried the same weight of fear. The police, though relieved by the sudden halt to the killings, were left with a profound sense of frustration. Despite their tireless efforts, they had failed to catch the killer. The investigation into the Jack the Ripper murders was a tangled web of dead ends, false leads, and tantalizing clues that ultimately led nowhere. The police, operating with limited resources and under immense pressure to catch the killer, employed every tool at their disposal. Hundreds of potential suspects were questioned, ranging from local butchers and slaughterhouse workers to doctors and even members of the royal family. Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last, but none could definitively link any one individual to the crimes. The killer, it seemed, had moved like a phantom through the labyrinthine streets of Whitechapel. Despite these obstacles, the police collected a vast amount of evidence, including witness statements and letters purportedly written by the killer. However, due to the limitations of forensic science at the time, much of this evidence proved inconclusive. Over a century later, the mystery of Jack the Ripper continues to fascinate and frustrate in equal measure. The identity of the killer, his motives, and his sudden disappearance remain shrouded in mystery, fueling endless speculation and debate. Despite countless books, documentaries, and amateur investigations, the case remains unsolved. The lack of a definitive answer has spawned a cottage industry of ripperologists, amateur detectives, and historians who dedicate themselves to unraveling the mystery. Armed with modern technology and access to previously unavailable documents, these armchair sleuths pore over the evidence. Theories abound, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. The Jack the Ripper case, it seems, is destined to remain a tantalizing enigma. Jack the Ripper, though long gone, continues to cast a long shadow over history. His crimes, so brutal and so brazen, shocked Victorian society to its core, and left an indelible mark on the public consciousness. The name Jack the Ripper has become synonymous with the darkest impulses of human nature. The case had a profound impact on law enforcement, leading to advancements in forensic science and investigative techniques. The need for better street lighting, more effective communication between police forces, and a greater understanding of criminal psychology became all too apparent. Moreover, the case captivated the public imagination, inspiring countless works of fiction. His crimes, though horrific, serve as a stark reminder of the importance of justice, the fragility of life, and the enduring power of the unknown.